but we're going early. Is our message? I want to wait for the dawn.
Don't say that.
That's live. All right, we're getting up on the monitor.
Is it connected? Because it says connected.
I didn't hear a bong yet. There it is. Heard it. All right, somebody give me a 5x5 while we get all this connected. It is early Wednesday. We're a couple hours early. A couple hours early. I don't know what time is it? 4, 5, 6. 2 hours early. So hope everyone can still make it. I don't know if notifications work too well or not. We haven't heard a lot of good things about notifications. I have them on. A couple of the kids have them on, and they don't get notified. So get the word out. We are going early tonight. It is Wednesday night, SFMF Live, and I see Heavy J is in the house. What's up? Good to see you. Lima Charlie. Adam East got the notification. All right, so it does work. Just, I'm guessing not consistently. Sometimes people do. So see, so you're surprised about it because it doesn't always happen. All right. So we are early. Carrie Ann Marie Potts. I even told you, Carrie Ann Marie, so sorry. I told you 2 hours earlier than either way. Daylight savings. And but I'm glad you're here. You don't have to watch it on catch up later. I just got on the train. All right. Are you blocking all that? Okay. What do you got? All right. We are going early tonight. Yes, it's early, J Dub. Thanks for joining us. Get the word out. Still going to try and do a full 2 hours. We are on spring break, so the schedule is a little adapt and overcome is what we're doing. We didn't want to not do it, so we definitely said what's the lesser of two evils. We definitely want to do it, so we're doing it early. Hope everyone gets the word, and it kind of looks like people are. Jake with the John McJunkin crew, still in for Uncle John, but Gunny's here too. Good to see y'all, the McJunkin crew. And please, again, give our prayers to John. Hope he's doing well. Late Cookie's here. What's happening, brother? Notifications we sent as soon as it hit 1600. All right. Good. All right. What is the aim of your life? Wow. That's this channel. He says life, which is the channel. So the aim of our life is the same as the aim of our life. Is what we're doing. Building a community of like-minded warriors, right? Where everyone learns. I like to stress that everyone learns here. I just learned something today. Menachem, are you here? He did some chaplain stuff over the week. He missed the live on Sunday. What is it? Either way, he's been doing some chaplain corps stuff, right, with the Army and MEPS stuff. And funny, talking with the producer about it, I didn't even realize that officers must go to MEPS also, right? It's the military entry point services. What's it for? MEPS, military entry point, is where all service members must go prior to shipping out, right? They do one last final, I guess, physical check, maybe dental. Is dental up there too? All your records, make sure everything's straight before you take off. The last stop. I had a crazy introduction to the Corps, and I think I put it on a short maybe years ago. My welcome to the Corps kind of MEPS visit. Mine was in Oakland, California, a couple hours away from my house. And I remember being in there driving all morning or all night. I don't know. We probably left at like 3 in the morning, picked a couple kids up, going through the MEPS process, filled out all the paperwork, all 32 pages to the best of my ability. Apparently, however, though, I missed out a couple driving tickets in the forms, the original forms. Kind of. Allegedly. Because here's the full story. I have a couple brothers, one's close in age, and he accidentally, I think, used my name and social security number when he was being pulled over, purely by accident, I'm sure. So when I filled out my traffic violations in order of highest to least priority, and the guy said, remember as much as you can, not a big deal, write them all down. So I did. Apparently I missed out about 4 or 5 that my brother got for me. So this Gunny comes in, and I barely knew what a Gunny was. And I had fallen asleep, of course, because we were driving all morning. And I just wake up to a nice swift kick in my legs because I was chilling out on one of the benches. I don't know what's going on behind the camera. I did a whole bunch of stuff, all kinds of activity back there. So he kicks me in the feet, stands me up. He says, really, that's what you think we want your type in the Marine Corps? You'd lie. All this, dude, you're going to jail, falsifying official documents. And he was just going off high and to the right. I had no idea what he was talking about. And he said, I got your DMV records right here. And you said you have 4 tickets. Boom. He flips out a page of doom, doom, doom. It's like 3 or 4. Wallpaper. It's like wallpaper full of traffic violations that I didn't actually put all of them on there. Some were mine, some were my brother's. But I remember the initial time I filled it out, there's like 4 blanks. And my recruiter said, I said, I have a couple more than 4. He's like, I just put the worst ones or the most critical ones on top. I mean, it looks like we got something, some clown on here. So I did it from the top to the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4. I said, I got a couple more. He said, don't worry about it. So I didn't worry about it until, again, I got a rude awakening by this gunnery sergeant, who of course was 8 feet tall, scratchy voice. And I thought, nope, I made a mistake. I shouldn't be here. All right. Can we dump that clown on there? All right. So it is Wednesday. MEPS. My whole point was talking about the channel. This is the kind of stuff we learned. So the producer looked it up. Yes, all officers, to include chaplains, everyone must go to MEPS at one point or another. I don't know. It's just me thinking, my enlisted brain thinking just the enlistees go there, because you never see. I mean, the officers don't get on the bus with all the Poolees and go to the airport or go to MCRD. So what happens to the officers after they go to MEPS? Is it just a visit, then they leave? Because remember that last trip to MEPS when we dropped our daughter off, she went once, swore in, did some stuff, came back a month or so later, and that was it. We'll see you later. We met her at the airport too, though. Anyhow, that's at last. They got to account for them. So MEPS accounts for everyone shipping out on this date. Sometimes they stay in hotels, sometimes they sleep. I think every MEPS might be a little bit different. But I remember in Hawaii, that's what it was. I don't remember. I think all of them, they collect them all up, put them in a van, they go stay at a hotel, come back early in the morning, they go to the airport together. So I think we met her at the airport. And then they fly out. That's the farewell. And again, my enlisted brain never thought about where the officers go. They probably conduct their business at MEPS, and then they get a plane ticket and go on their own. Pretty sure that's how it works. If there's any officers in here, let us know. All right. Good to have you all here. McJunkin's team, Jake and crew. Yes, please tell John we all said hello, and URAH, of course. Heavy J. Heavy J, what was your proudest moment in the Marine Corps? It's a good one, Heavy J. It's a good one. And I don't know, I'm gonna probably not be able to narrow it down to just one. Because there's rewarding jobs like completing McQuist. I mean, that was a pretty proud day. Graduating every platoon we graduated when I was a drill instructor. It was pretty exciting. All great days. My my last deployment, bringing everybody home. Didn't lose a single Marine in the last deployment. Pretty exciting. So there's so many things along the way that you definitely truly remember. How about that Marine Corps birthday we spent on top of a hill in Afghanistan on this outpost that was in the middle of nowhere? It took us hours to get there. 5 Marines and a corpsman sitting on top of this hilltop, securing the desert, which there's no way anybody could have got to them. So it was purely an observation post, and we timed it. Luckily, that by the time it struck midnight on November 10, we're on top of that hill, thinking we were going to find a bunch of cold, sleeping, couple of Marines on post. These Marines had a cake set up that they've been saving pound cakes through the MREs and jelly to write "Happy Birthday, Marines." It was just that was an awesome, pretty proud moment. So it's been a lot, AVG. I don't know if anyone can nail it down to just one point. Graduating boot camp, graduating DI school, right? There's quite a bit. The mountain leader courses in Bridgeport. There's been a few, but great question. All right, who else we got here? I saw you lay cookie. Yes, we are halfway through, and we just again we're talking about it. It doesn't do it justice to put it against that white wall. So either we got to hang something behind it, and then so it pops better, because all the walls are white around here. So we got to do something. And yes, before spring break is over. I won't say next live, but very soon. Very, very soon. All right. Bentley, subscribe. Thanks, Bentley. Simplify, my friend. Welcome to the show. That's how all that got started. Someone asked, what are you doing with your life? I hope they mean, what are you doing with your life? So I kind of answered it. This community is amazing. We all learn stuff from each other. We help each other out. We want people to not have to learn the hard way like we did. Especially with the crew like John McJunkins. He's got Poolees, he's got Young Marines, he's got Sea Cadets, he's got all of them. Devil Pups, right here. Check this question out. I know it's going to be good. Young Marine Vincent asks if you ever found out that as a drill instructor, that any of your former recruits died in war or by accident, and how you handled it. Wow. Okay. So as a drill instructor in the 90s, obviously some of the recruits, newly made Marines, are still in. So I do hear of them. The last one I heard about, that another drill instructor wrote and told me, someone unfortunately committed suicide, PTSD, after a couple of deployments. But I can't think of any right off the bat. None that I knew so well that I would go to their funeral, or somebody told me. Again, of 8 cycles I did, about 90 each. So it's a lot of Marines. I got to believe, again, some are on here. JT was one of my recruits on here. So I don't know. I haven't. Luckily, I guess, knock on wood, I guess that's a good thing. I got to believe, though, that we have lost some over, again, it's almost about 500 Marines personally that I pushed through boot camp, 600, 700, I don't know how many. So interesting question, though. I remember, again, that's a lot, but I do remember a few faces. I'd have to match their name up with their faces, primarily the guide and squad leaders, the scribe, right? The whiskey locker recruit. Those tend to be the ones that you remember. High shooter, the real good ones. Real bad ones, yeah, kind of, but usually those, you forget about them because all they did was waste your time. The real good ones you remember. And there are times, as bad as it is, halfway through boot camp, a kid will come up to you, sir, this recruit has a, and you're like, who the hell are you? Sir, did we pick you up? Are you new? Are you lost? You're in the wrong platoon? But that's the speed and intensity of it. And when you have 89 of them, again, you know the real good ones and you know the real bad ones. All the rest in between, God bless them, because they're doing what they're supposed to do. You don't have to worry about them. The fire and forget kind of kids. So it's good. But that's what this community is all about, that our new subber. So welcome and stay. A couple of things I want to talk about. I had points last time, but we were so fired up, I didn't get to all of them. leading or giving orders. That's something I want to talk about. Is your leadership leading you or just giving orders? I'm going to touch on that a little bit. Living on base. We talked about the reason to live off base or purchase a home instead of renting or living on base. But we didn't talk about the benefits of living on base because there is a lot of benefits. And then I want to talk a little bit about sleep, reveille. How much sleep do you actually need? I told you when my daughter was 15 at one point, she said, Dad, I'm telling you, it's a requirement that 15-year-olds get 15 hours of sleep a night. Nice try. Didn't work. And then here's one. Been thinking about it for a while. We do talk about leadership here quite a bit. And I think it just happens because there's so many leaders in this community, right? You're all leaders. Even John McJunkin's crew, all of you are leaders. From the lowest ranking young Marine to the retirees. Everyone's a leader. I like when I have a crowd of teenagers or young Marines, I always like, who's a leader in here? Like who really kind of said, who is really, which one of you are leaders? And then a few raise their hand, and it's like, but bottom line, every single one of them are leaders. And I believe that the ultimate question, are leaders born or do they, it's a learned trait? And I did a short on, I think it was about 50-50. Some people think, yeah, born leader. He was born that way. Or I believe everyone's born with leadership traits. Everyone's born with leadership abilities. But are they always pulled out of you? Are you always in a situation or ever in a situation where you actually have to display that leadership or you actually want to display that leadership? There's a difference. Everyone's a leader. We also need followers, though. Absolutely. You can't eat too many chiefs, not enough Indians. Oh, I hope that's PC enough. Remember that saying? Too many cooks in the kitchen, right? That it just doesn't work when everyone's a leader. So that's why you need those good followers as well. But here's a question I've been thinking about a lot lately is, what do you do about poor leadership? What can you do? Reminds me of Stu Scheller, his story, Lieutenant Colonel Stu Scheller with the withdrawal from Afghanistan. Remember, he wanted people to be held accountable. He was screaming for accountability. All these people that made the poor decision to do it the way it happened. However you feel about it, all he wanted was accountability. And of course, the leaders didn't. They were swept under the rug. People take care of other people, and those generals are still sitting in those leadership positions. They retire and they go on with their life. So Stu Scheller, that was one thing that he did. He was getting it out there to the world via social media. The leaders didn't like that, so they censored him. They shut him down. They ended up kicking him out. They didn't let him retire. He spent time in the brig. It was a whole nasty situation. You don't like seeing that for anyone. He's a great Marine infantry officer, combat veteran, all kinds of stuff that he should have been allowed to retire. Because at the end of the day, all he was trying to do is make the Marine Corps better, hold people accountable, and continue fighting. So, and then there's controversy over, did he do the right thing? Because now he's out of the Marine Corps. He can't affect any change while he's out. Did he have a better chance of affecting change while he was still in? I think that's a bad one. I don't think he regrets. I don't follow. I haven't heard from him, or we haven't heard from him in a while. But do you think he has regrets? Do you think he could have done more from within the Marine Corps? At least now he can speak freely. He's not censored by the Marine Corps, and he's written books, and he has a huge fan base. But have any of those leaders been held accountable? Unfortunately, I think not. So the question is, What can you do, or what can you do about poor leadership? So experiencing this very recently, you see things that could improve an organization by observation, right? You've been in a unit for a certain, I mean, sometimes it just takes a couple months and you realize changes that could be made and should be made. And then you're patient because you're not the one in charge. You do your best. We talk about after action reports on here all the time. But those get turned in and no changes. Those get turned in, no changes. Oh, we're going to wait, right? When leaders tell you that, we're working on that, we're working on that. And they're in charge. If that's their answer, that's their answer. Poor leadership, but that's their answer. And then when time goes by, that's when you resurface all of it. Remember, we talked about these months ago. Still, is there still a plan? The worst is when they don't take accountability for themselves. You know what? I remember you brought that up. I didn't have a chance to look at it. I'm going to look at it now. Done. Easy answer. Or I read your after actions. I hear where you're coming from, but I'm not going to change it. All right. I'd be happy with that too. At least I know he's engaged. He sees it. He hears it. Maybe attack it. That's something that maybe you can get to next year. The worst though is when they say, oh, the boss won't buy off on it. Oh, the boss won't change his mind. Oh, they won't. Oh, they won't. Oh, they won't. That's where you come in. That's your sole purpose, to take things to the boss, right? And unfortunately, some bosses do like the yes man, right? They like the man that won't go to them with problems, right? So how much can you do? You're in that pool of followers, if you will, trying to make your organization better. What can you do? And how long do you do it for? How long do you get the Heisman? How long do you get the thumb held on you where you just, that's where that shut up and color comes from, right? That's what Marines are good at, just shut up and color. Because in your organization, how about your peers? When they are okay with it and they do just shut up and color, even though the problems are there, they concur when they're brought up, but once they're dismissed, everyone's okay with it. Back to the question, what do you do about poor leadership? Marines, we're so tactful, we're so professional. We don't jump the chain of command. There's active duty guys. There's a request mass, right? You speak to the next person in the chain of command. Well, what's your issue about? Well, it's about you, so I'm not going to tell you because I have and you haven't changed anything. It's time to go above your head. That's what request mass is for. If it's something easy, I want the weekend off. You ask, you go through your chain of command. But if anywhere in your chain of command that the question is not answered at all, no action taken, that's when you go above. Marines are very careful with that. I'm got to believe all the services are, but we don't just jump the chain of command and say, this is all screwed up. And then we're too professional to say, this is screwed up, and that's it, and leave it alone. We do the topic, discussion, recommendation. Yeah, it's bad, but here's one recommended solution, right? Here's the discussion. Here's why it's bad. And here's one or two or three recommended solutions to this problem. I just need you to be a leader for a few minutes and check it out. Discuss it with the people that it's going to directly affect. Then make a decision. And if you are going to blame it on the boss, say the boss will say no, and I agree with them. We're going to keep this policy. All right, you're in charge. There's nothing anyone else can do about it. But man up and say that. Don't just blame it on own it. If that's how you feel about it, own it. All right, we'll try another avenue. Still screwed up and it's hurting productivity, right? Retention's terrible. You got good people coming and going because they don't want to deal with that anymore. That's when you have to step back and detach, and take a look at it. Am I here for the right reasons? Am I giving everything I got to this organization? Am I leading how I wanted to be led? Am I leading how I would want my kids, if they join the service, to be led? Or in an organization like this? Is this everything I want in a leader? Am I acting that way? And if you're not, time to go. That's it. It's time to go. Move on. Let someone in there with passion can get you your organization to the next level. Just move out of the way. Quietly, professionally. Time for me to go. This is not what I'm here for. All right? You're there just to collect a paycheck? Admit it. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with everybody. Not going to do anything extra. I'm just going to collect a paycheck. We'll find a spot for you to do that. But it's not in an active environment in that organization where motivation, drive, passion is necessary to keep it going. What do you do about poor leadership? All right. Christina says, there's a job complaint board. You always have the right to refuse unsafe work. Sure. That's a sweet shirt, Sergeant Major. Kimi Cocoa Puffs. Where can I get these? Can I get these anywhere, producer?
Not yet.
Thanks, Christina. Job complaint board. I will definitely look into that. And if it goes, or if the top stops it, Christina, where can it go? Because that might be a problem in some organizations. It's a privately owned business or something. It's going to stop at the top with that leader that doesn't want to improve, doesn't want to work hard, doesn't want to give everything to his unit. He's just there. If he stops it, then what do you do? All right. As a Marine, you're just supposed to shut up and obey your orders and color, Christina. Don't forget, shut up and color. Sure, but here's the thing with being active duty is that leader's leaving soon. PCSing. Hopefully it's sooner rather than later. They cut their tour short a little bit. But in the civilian community, they grow roots and they can hang out forever and just sit back complacently and collect a paycheck. So in the military, one of you are leaving soon. 18 months to 36 months, someone's leaving. So you can, there's kind of ways around it. You can hold on for 3 years or less. In the civilian community, you just don't know. Bad leadership, you can't change, says Lay Cookie. Just be the best you can at your job, and the bad apples will be gone some point in time. So I'm 100% with that, Lay Cookie. Bloom where you planted. Keep driving without them. And here's what happens. I've told this drill instructor story, I think, many times when we were talking about the crucible and the changes that people make in a box. Not drill instructors. Somewhere in a think tank in a nice AC room with computers and nice chairs, they make decisions for the recruits. Not having ever been a drill instructor, or maybe they did, but it was decades ago, and they're making decisions that directly affect recruit training, that the day-to-day operations. Same in the civilian community. You have leaders that, let's say the oil industry, I don't know it at all, but they were never turning wrenches in the oil pipes in the oil field, but yet they were thrust into a position to be in charge of those wrenchers. How are they going to make accurate decisions that will best support the guys on the ground? They've never done it. Or if they did, it was 20, 30, 40 years ago. So get with those individuals, spend a few days in the oil fields, see what it's actually like, and then get their input. Then you'll be able to make better decisions. But those leaders don't. Oh, well, I made this change, and look at now they using smaller wrenches and it works. No, they hide the big wrenches. They still use the big wrench, but you don't know that because you took all those, just poor decision making, uninformed decision making. That's usually what it is. Again, they get in their little group, little 3-4 man team up there, and this will be great. This is what they can do, and those wrench turners can do that much more. All right.
Sergeant majoring.
Any job. So I need to read before posting. Thanks, Debbie J. All right. What you're saying is don't sit behind the desk. Get out and do it. That's 100%, Christine. That's the LSD. I've told that before, the large steel desk. As a leader, don't get hooked on the LSD. Get out. Get away from your desk. Your desk and your chair should have dust on it because you're out with your people in the field, wherever they happen to work. If you have 400 shops you got to visit, should you visit all 400? Hells yeah, you visit everybody. Get out. That's where you get the real scoops. I remember a couple of times, especially living on base, when I was walking distance to my shop, I'd like to have my car at the shop, at the office, just in case I did have to go somewhere. But you learn so much more about that base, about the people on it, by walking. So get out from behind your desk. Learn. No text leadership by text. Stop it. Pass a word every now and then, a change or something that you have to get. Sure, use it for those things, but not every day. Here's what we're going to do today. Reminders, maybe, but get out and say, especially if you work on a facility that's walking distance everywhere. Get out and walk, visit your people face to face, discuss stuff. You'll learn so much about your organization if you were just to get out from behind that LSD, that large steel desk. All right. So what do you do about poor leadership? Again, just think about that. If you have a epiphany, let us know. Some of us need that right now. All right, McJunkin. So I'm ready to delayed entry, enlistee Alex. Sorry, I didn't get to it in time, McJunkin. Please put that back up. With that, say again, please. Yes.
It says, delayed enlistee Alex wants to know if the Marine Corps keeps up to date on the after effects involved in the shots, meds, and immunizations given to the troops and recruits.
Very interesting. He said,
I'm sure someone else said that.
He's asking, does the Marine Corps or the government or medical and all the military keep track of people after all the tons of immunizations that you get in boot camp prior to deployment? When?
The meds.
All the meds that you're taking, does somebody keep track and kind of follow how you're doing after all that stuff has been forced into your body? I want to believe yes. Short answer, I gotta believe yes. And if there's an issue later on, you go to medical for some reason they might look back, wow, why is your heart enlarged? Or, well, you've taken all this stuff. We used to have shot records growing up. I would always lose mine. They'd make a new one. Sometimes it was correct, sometimes it wasn't. But I got to think with today's day and age and database, I think that it is. I would like to believe that everything is annotated that you do at medical, dental, everything. Now, what they do with that information, of course, HIPAA only, you have to, like even when you get out, they can only release your medical record to you. So I think there's rules to it, but I think that they do track everything. And there's something interesting with that. In Desert Storm, again, it was kind of new to the world. Vietnam had been over for a while. Kosovo was a lot smaller, but this is the first large-scale operation in a long time. And we're going to the desert, and we're going to the Scud missiles, the CRB, what is it? The CBN, what the gas called? Somebody help me out. NBC, nuclear, biological, chemical warfare was the big threat. So they started pumping us with all kinds of medication. They would tell us what it is. But here you got to take this and this and this. And every day for a while, we line up, take your meds, line up, take your meds, take your meds. And I did. As much as I don't like putting anything foreign into my body like that, I didn't know. A little scared tactic. You got to take this. We're going to be in that environment. So I did. I would take everything. I took it all. and started to wonder, like days I didn't feel good, I was like, man, it's all that crap they've been dumping down our throats, man. What is this stuff? So halfway through, one of my Marines, about 6 months into it, he came to me one night with a little Ziploc bag full of meds, just nothing but pills. He said, I haven't taken a single pill. I was like, oh my God, dude, what if something happened? What if we get in? He said, I was never comfortable. I didn't know what it was. I haven't taken anything. So I looked at it like this. Between him and I've taken everything. He's taken nothing. And I guess we won't know till later, right? And it's been 35 years now. I don't know if maybe that's where my ADHD comes from. Maybe it's my lack of focus comes from. Maybe my getting up at the, I don't know. And I haven't spoke to him in years, but I think he was normal. On a funny side of all that, I did meet up with another buddy years later. Can I say his name? Toby. And we met up. It's got to be 20 years ago now. So, but about 20 years after Desert Storm, we met up somewhere right in Hawaii. You remember that? And he, I don't remember what we did. Probably wouldn't have had a beer somewhere. But as soon as we saw each other, it's like, wow, it's been so long. Give the bro hug and everything. And I looked closely, and his teeth were so jacked up, like he was missing 5 or 6 teeth, and they had spread out in the gums. And yeah, I was like, oh my God. And I couldn't look at him straight in the face, and was so, how you been, brother? I was trying to look away, and he's like, oh, that's messed up. I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, you're not going to mention anything, pretend like you didn't see it? Look at my teeth. Bro, I'm sorry. And I didn't know. He's a good looking dude. I didn't know what to say. I feel bad. What happened? Said, oh my God. He said, remember all them pills we were taking in Desert Storm? I was like, no. He said, no, not really. And pulled the teeth out. They were fake. So he didn't. And it was funny. He said, but he had been worried about it all these years. Nothing's happened. He's healthy, he's safe, family man, a couple kids. He's good. But we had no idea. We didn't know. And I got to believe they're probably still doing it anytime they go to a foreign country or something like that. But that was my buddy. He said, man, you weren't going to say anything. You were going to pretend like there was nothing wrong with me. It's like, right. Thanks for setting me up. And I punched him and knocked the tooth out. Just kidding. Lake Cookie. I hope at this day and age, the records would be better, but back in the paper BAS record days, you can't read the writing, 80% of your records. Who knows what we are given? Same. That's, again, prior to today's technology. Yes, and most of the time, a doc would just give you something to take away the pain, and whether it was recorded or not, who knows? But I got to think today, it is. I do. I believe today's day and age that everything is tracked, and because they're probably testing some weird stuff on us. So they're going to track it. They're going to find out. Hopefully not. All right, REVEILLE. That's what we're going to talk about next. So let me switch these out. So REVEILLE in the Marine Corps. Here's how I try to think about it this morning, because I get up early every morning. And I would say, oh, yeah, because you've been a Marine your whole life, and that's why you still get up early. Because a sleeping day for me is about 6:30 or 7. That's a sleeping day where I feel groggy because I slept so much. There was a long period of time recently. I was getting up at 3:30 every morning, a little before 3:30. And I kind of slowly wake up to about 3:30, and I'm in an environment. I have a gym nearby. I'd go work out, drink a cup of coffee first, gym, workout, get my workout in for the day. And that was great. I knew it just made the rest of the day better, knowing that I already got my workout in and I don't have to try and fit it in somewhere. So I loved that part about it. If I was working a full day, I wouldn't get a nap. Always wanted one, but very rarely ever get one. And then by the end of the night, I was tired, like 10 o'clock. zonked if I make it to 10 o'clock. And same thing the very next day. So 10 to 3, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. 5 hours is a solid night's sleep for me. And for years, I discussed it with the VA. They tried this and try that, and the CPAP and the bongo things. You strip. I don't have any problem at all falling asleep. I just don't stay asleep. So wake up once or twice in those 5 hours. By the last one is the 3:30. I'm up. I don't want to waste a day. Now, having been retired for a while, it has lasted about 10 years, but slowly but surely, I think I'm able to sleep a little bit more. Again, depends on your workload too. Don't forget about that. That part's very important as well. But I do PT at least once a day, if not twice a day. So that helps me, aids me in falling asleep. But again, my issue was staying asleep. I don't want to sleep till 7, 8 in the morning because I think that's what I did prior to the Marine Corps. I think I was like no different than any other teenager. Didn't like getting up in the morning for school. On the weekends, slept in. I think for a while, I wasn't an 11 or 12 kind of kid ever because I just wanted to do stuff. And then bam, the Marine Corps. The 5:30 Reveille turned into, even in boot camp, I would get up before Reveille because I didn't want to be that groggy, slow person waking up with everyone else. So I started it in boot camp. And then my next duty station, very first duty station, I wanted to be up before everyone else. Showing up to work, I wanted to be the first guy in the office or before I had an office outside in formation, kind of standing by. Now that all that's done, still have a job and stuff to be places at a certain time, but I want to get stuff done early before. So, how much sleep is necessary? And you talk to people, you read studies. Yes, you absolutely have to have 8 hours of sleep every single night. Although I think it's important, I don't believe, however, every person needs that 8 hours. I you can't convince me because I've been doing this 5 hour thing for decades and I'm pretty normal. Depends on who you ask. But I function just fine without it. Would I love a nap in the middle of the day every day? Yeah, too inconvenient. So I just don't. But I think that would help. And when I do take a nap in the middle of the day, I can stay up a little later, but it doesn't affect my nightly sleep. So the question is how much sleep is necessary? I don't think it's a blanket black and white. You have to have 8 hours of sleep. I think sleep is very important. Here's on the other note, even though you can stay up for a couple of days, don't, right? Had a commander in Afghanistan and he was that guy, a great Marine officer, did some great things, but he overworked himself. And I'll tell him all the time, sir, you gotta go ahead and take a couple hours off. Take a couple hours off. Just take an hour off. I got you. I'll cover you. Just go to sleep. And he wouldn't. And I remember at one point he was going on day 3. Right, already been up 48 hours. A lot of patrols. We're pretty active. And I think I don't even know what it was. He said, "I'm gonna go to the hooch for a minute. I'll be right back." And he didn't come back. He didn't come back. He didn't come back. Finally, I walked over to his hooch. About an hour later, he just kind of peeked in, and sure enough, he was out like a light, completely out. I think it was in the middle of the day, and we kind of needed him though, right? Especially during working hours. A lot of officers, sorry, I got a question. I got a question. Look, back off. He crashed, right? And that's what I kept telling him, sir. Don't do it. Don't do it. Get some sleep. You're gonna crash. And he did. I let him sleep like a good solid 24 hours, refreshed, but realize, yes, you aren't invincible. You absolutely do need sleep and make better decisions when you're well rested, right? You don't want to, because I remember talking to him like a debrief from a patrol, just him and I, Commander Sergeant Major, just kind of debriefing the day, and he started falling asleep while I was talking to him. And so I just kind of push him over, say, look, go to sleep. I'll be back. I'll keep your office clear. Make sure nobody bangs on your door and get some rest. Because I'm going to get my rest. You just don't want it at the wrong time. So you got to be prepared. Be prepared. Sleep. Utilize it. Get yourself a battle rhythm and stick to it. Easy. Yes, Money Tolina. Is that what this says? Ride along. Yeah, yes. I absolutely want to do a ride along. Let me know. Do I bring my own guns or are you going to issue me something? I know I probably don't get a gun, just a taser. I'll be happy with the taser. I absolutely would. I will get with you offline and I want 100% love to do a ride along. I've been in a cop car a couple times, but always in the back seat for some reason. Never sat up front on the good side. So yes, I would love to do a ride along, and we will. Let's hook it up. I'm on spring break. Right after I hang my new sign from Lake Cookie, I'll do that ride along. All right, Heavy J. I was in a motocross, MMA, skate, skateboarding, football. I never slipped in because I want to get up and do it again tomorrow since I grew up in a condemned house. So another reason to get out of the house, get away from whatever is going on at your house. Another reason, I'm telling you, if I sleep until 7, I feel like I wasted the whole day already. It's going to be a bad day, right? So I like to get up, get some coffee, start my day, be refreshed, stretch out a little bit. That's for you older guys. All right, Cadet Carlos would like to ask, why doesn't the Marine Corps and the military get rid of rules that are dumb? Today, some of us cadets got yelled at for walking on grass at the armory.
You know what I'm going to ask?
Why were you walking on the grass? Is that the question? Yes. So, although it feels and seems like a dumb rule, Cadet Carlos, it's bigger than that. It's not just to save the grass, right? You're trouncing on it, you're walking, you're going to create a path and looks bad. That's not the only purpose for it. Of course, you want to stay off the grass. There are times that you actually play on it or you specifically are tasked to do push ups on the grass. That's different. It's bigger than that, though. It's a discipline thing. The rule is stay off the grass. So even when nobody's looking and you're in a hurry and you're going to save, I don't know, a second by cutting across the grass, it's integrity, it's discipline, it's doing the right thing. You know you're not supposed to, so know yourself and seek self-improvement. As much as I want to walk across that grass, maybe my time management sucks and I shouldn't be in a hurry and I can walk on the sidewalk. So it feels there's always a purpose to the madness. There's a method to the madness, and that is 100%. There's a reason. It starts out with you, it's just a grass rule. That can turn in, and I'm going to be completely way off the hinge here. That's going to turn into a war crime later. Could it? Right? He just stole a piece of gum. Really? It's worth 2 cents. What's the big deal? Now later he's robbing banks. So it's bigger than just keeping the grass pristine. It's following orders, following directions, and following the rules. And here's what you do. Stay in long enough. What do you do with poor leadership? You don't like that rule? Stay in long enough to where you can say, hey, I'm in charge now. Walk on the grass. So as small of a thing as it is, it's bigger, much, much bigger than that later on in life. Cadet Carlos says, because our JRTC instructors called us to form up for inspection. Very good. There's got to be a sidewalk that leads there. And if they've told you once to stay off the grass, why should they have to tell you a second time? Right? I used to use this with my cadets. If I tell you, meet me at the pull-up bars at 16:23 tomorrow, I'm going to give you $1,000. All you got to do is meet me there. You don't even have to do pull-ups. How many of them do you think would remember to be at the pull-up bars at 16:23 tomorrow to receive $1,000? I'm guessing all of them. And all I got to tell you is one time, and they'll be there because there's something in it for them. A little greedy, maybe, right? There's always got to be something. They'll whiff them. What's in it for me? $1,000. All you got to do is show up at this specific time. But yet you tell them to be at formation at 05:30. Don't be late and stay off the grass. How many of them do you have to remind a couple of times? Stay off the grass, stay off the grass, stay off the grass. Get in formation. How about in formation? Tight fists, tight elbows, head and eyeball straight to the front. Why do you have to be told anything more than once? Only had to tell you one time to show up 1623 for that $1,000. So it's bigger. Method to the madness. Who said that? I think Stacking. There's always a method to the madness, and it's life lessons, right? It carries on through everything that you do. You should only have to be told once, sometimes a second time, maybe, but it shouldn't. When you give orders, right? I hear this from the producer quite a bit. Why do I have to tell you again? I already told you once. So, yes, you got to focus, listen, and here's when you listen.
You don't say it like that.
She doesn't say it like that.
You
She
say it
does it
like
very,
this.
very nicely. Here's when you focus. Here's when you pay attention. Here's when you won't forget. When you take an interest in it. If it's something that you're interested in, something that you want to do, well, you don't have to want to do it, but you know it's important. When you take ownership of that task, like staying off the grass, it'll never happen. You'll never walk on that grass because you are part of that now and you embraced it, whether you agree with it or not. Trust me, youngins, you're going to do tons of things throughout your life that you don't want to do. You're going to follow some orders that, and we're not talking ethical or criminal decisions, but just orders that you're going to have to follow that you don't like. You're going to do some uncomfortable things. You're going to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Why do I have to walk all the way around when I could be there in a second if I just cut across the grass? Not your rule, but it's your responsibility to follow it. That goes with my third point today: leading or giving orders. If you have a leader that just gives orders, stay off the grass, doesn't explain anything to you, why are you staying off the grass? And here's a better way to do it: time management, lesson involved. You can put all those lessons into that reasoning. This is why we yell at you to stay off the grass. So embrace it. It won't ever be an issue again. You'll be that guy. Hey, don't forget, stay off the grass. Whoa, whoa, whoa. You almost walked on the grass. Or do you have someone that just gives orders? Stay off the grass. Get the formation on time. PT just gives orders, doesn't embrace it themselves, right? Doesn't leadership by example. That's don't want to beat that dead horse anymore, but someone who's willing to get out and do the things with you, right? Not just stand. Now, if you're being punished, do 25 push-ups. That's a punishment thing. So yeah, you're going to do it. But if we're going to PT, we're going to do it together. We're going to climb this hill together. We're going to jump in this freezing cold water together. That's the difference between giving orders and leading. All right. Kimi Cocoa Puffs. Sometimes you got to do what you don't want to do to get where you want to go. I like that. That's good. That's from number one right there. Let's go. Write that one down. Sometimes you got to do what you don't want to do to get where you want to go. Amen. USMC vet, I see up there. Sorry I'm late. Defense, I got 4 different time updates: 12 and 14 and 17 and 16. I'm glad you're here. And yes, that's my fault. I was thinking we could make it back in time for the 1400. I didn't want to push it too much later. That was my fault, 100%. And all I know is we wanted to get on today. We didn't want to skip today at all. So thanks for being here. I think we're about an hour in. Heavy J right there, 55 minutes. Still Lima Charlie. We're going to hang out for about another hour. So welcome, USMC vet. Thanks for making it. Michael Jones is here, and the production team. Hello to you as well. Uh, daylight savings time, spring break has been a butt kicker. Producer's fault. I am playing catch up all over today. Yes, it is today. Our girls had a camp at one point, then it got canceled, and then we're just trying to do way too much in one week, right? That's pretty common for us. So we're going to do our very best.
Somebody's so dedicated to it.
Our, formation 07, 1100 comes around, and you're still waiting for a formation. J Dub, that's called Gunny time. Have you ever been Gunny timed? And I don't know why it's been called that. Usually it's all throughout the chain of command. I remember that as a sergeant major, I'd say, okay, tomorrow morning, PT 0530. I'd be rolling up to the company office, battalion headquarters at like 4:30, and there already be Marines out there. Like, what are you doing? It's 4:30. I said PT at 5:30. Well, I tell the first sergeant that, hey, have him here at 5:30, ready to go. First sergeant tells his company gunny or the platoon sergeant, hey, have him here at 05, ready to go. The squad leaders tell the Marines, I want you here at 4:30. And next thing you know, they don't go to sleep that night because they don't want to miss that 5:30 formation. And over the years, we've called that gunny time. So find out the time, 5:30, just don't be late. That old saying, if you're on time, you're late. Not really, but it's a good mindset to be in. If you're on time, you will be on time, but you want to have your faculties about you. You don't want to just show up, get right in formation. So of course, show up a little early, but don't gunny time the heck out of your unit. And they show up for a 07 formation and nothing happens till 11, because that's when the commander wanted the formation at 1100. You get gunny time all the way down. You're there 4 hours early. Don't do that to your people. Don't waste their time. One thing you can't get back, and that's time. So use that time wisely. And then maybe show up 30 minutes early. In that 30 minutes while you're waiting, PME, right? School circle, let's have a class. Spread out, let's do some PT. Utilize all that time to the best of your ability. Don't waste anyone's time. Always something you could be doing to get better. 1% better every day. There's always absolutely something you can do instead of just sitting around. Because what happens when Marines sit idle for too long? What happens? Depends on where you are. If there's rocks anywhere nearby, they're going to start throwing rocks. You can guarantee some grappling will go on. Someone's going to get hurt. Someone's going to get in a fight. Something's going to break. So you don't want your Marines sitting around doing nothing. You want to keep them engaged as much as possible. And at the end of the day, stack, complacency kills 100% on the battlefield, in an organization, military or civilian. Another battle I'm fighting with right now, complacency. How do you get someone? How do you shake someone out of that complacency? Like, damn, let's go. Shake it off. This is how we've always done it. It is wrong. Old, change. It's time to change. Complacency kills. Man, don't let it. It's all about. I mean, it's many things, but passion, right? Passion. How bad do you want it? How bad do you want to do well? What's the process of making your organization better? As soon as you get to a new unit, bad units are, I hate to say it, even a little easier to go into, because anything you do is good. Going into the best unit in the Marine Corps is tough. How do you make the best unit in the Marine Corps better? It's possible, 1% better every day, but going into a organization that's just doing good, still nothing but better things can come out of that. You just got to break that complacency, that old school mentality. This is the way we've been doing it for 30 years. You have to break that chain of command of that and remind them that times change, people change, society changes. Social media has taken off. Use it. Working on mining equipment, complacency will absolutely kill you. Lay Cookie works with some gabillion ton parts of vehicles that will literally kill you if complacency is set in. Same on the battlefield. How do you deal with civilian new hires that ask you for your pronouns? I told him 0300 infantry, and now HR wants to talk to you. Yes, I did say a funny. My pronoun Marine. I don't remember what it was. J-Dub. That's one of the underlying things Marines get taught that doesn't get recognized. Passion. No worse friend, no better enemy. That's Mad Dog Maddest quote right there. No better friend, no worse enemy. So it doesn't get recognized often, and it is. And people, some client, yeah, it gets recognized. JW, people call passion, call you a kiss butt. Um, like why with a fake motivation? You know what? Why you get so? Why you get a haircut twice a week? Where's that fake motivation? Why you always URAH what the first song says? Passion is what it is. It's passion to do better, to always want to be better at what you're doing. But some people give into that peer pressure. Like, quit being so moto. You're making us look bad. Well, how about you just get up to my level of motivation, right? It's that, what's that thing called? You tell me? Equalizer, right? You got that moto corporal who's just kicking butt. He's always called on. Why is Corporal Jones always get it? Why does he get all the good TADs? Why is you always calling on Corporal Jones? Because he gets it done. You know for a fact that he'll get it done. So they start dogging Corporal Jones. Right? He's a kiss butt. Look at him, little fake moto. He just wants everybody to like him. And you try to break him down. Instead of you working extra hard to get up there with Corporal Jones, you try to equalize him. Nope, work harder. Be a second, be better than Corporal Jones. That's the problem. That's what civilian community fights with also. They see that motivator. They see him wanting to change. They see him wanting to make the organization better, putting everything that he has into it. And instead of stepping back, detaching, looking at the issues that he's bringing up, everyone else will dog him. Oh, he's just bitching again. He's complaining again. Hey, man, he's got a lot. Maybe we should stop and look at it for a minute. Interesting. We're still doing good. Not good enough. We want to do better. Move up. All right. Stack, been out for 10 years. That motivation is real. Not as mean, not as lean, but still a Marine. That goes back to the Marines we surround ourselves with. Wish I would have recognized that when I was still in. I was complacent. Complacency is tough to beat. And sometimes you don't realize it when you're in it. It's happened to all of us. I guarantee, I'd like to believe, and I wish that it had never happened to me, but it does. It absolutely does. Sometimes your leadership causes you to be complacent. Well, I'm not writing another after action point. They ain't going to do nothing anyway. I'm not bringing this up. They're not going to change anything. Why waste my time if they're not going to change? Then that causes you to be complacent. I'm just doing my job. Clock in, clock out. Did exactly what I was supposed to do. Nothing more, nothing less. Sometimes your leadership forces you to be complacent. You have to recognize that. You have to recognize it and don't give in. You have to fight, right? That's back to the first question. What do you do about poor leadership? How long do you fight for it? How long do you stay in that battle when it doesn't even need to be a battle? It could easily be fixed. It can easily be adjusted. Doesn't every time I write one, I feel like I don't have all the ideas. I just know what we're doing now is not working. Please, amongst us, 100 employees, we can figure something out better than what we're doing now. The receipts are they're there. Retention, productivity, debt. I mean, none of these things are getting better. So whatever we're doing needs to change. All right. Darren, excuse me, says most people aren't brave enough to face their own complacency these days. Wow. Not brave enough to face their own complacency or their leaders' complacency. Nailed it, Darren. Nail on the head.
Darren work with you?
So, Darren, brave enough, have the intestinal fortitude, right? This is PG, so they don't have the, what's to say something about it. So you're right. Your own complacency. You have to know yourself and seek self-improvement and recognize when you are being complacent. And it's tough when you feel beat down every single day. You want to give up. Right? I ain't never been a quitter anything in my life, but I'm telling you, I've been driven to a point of wanting to quit because of leadership complacency. So they're not brave enough to fix their own. I got to believe that, and that's on that individual. Recognize it and then improve it. Now, being brave enough to address someone else's complacency. Peers, pretty easy. Subordinates, pretty easy. Leadership. I got to believe the worst type of leader is one who won't pass stuff up to his or her boss. This is what your organization is saying. Sir, please address. Ma'am, please address this. This is only getting worse. Entertain this before it gets worse, before productivity continues to go down, before this ship gets driven right into the reef. That's where that lack of courage comes in. Every time I bring something up, he says no. Every time I bring it up, he says no. Keep bringing it up. You're gonna stop. You're gonna quit. Are you a quitter? You're a leader. You're in a leadership position. Lead. Just lead them. Find out what we can do. Got it, sir. Okay, you shut that idea down very respectfully, of course. Go back to the drawing board. Get with the individuals that it's going to affect. Come up with another plan, and go back, and go back, and go back until it affects positively amongst the organization. Or you're going to run it right into the reef. All right, John McJunkins, crew, says, Young Marine Evan would like to know how to make a better rack for inspection at the Armory. When you have nobody help at home, failed inspection twice already, and don't want to fail again. Making a better rack, you're talking about your hospital corners, your 12 inches of white. I got to think, you got to do it. You just got to continue to do it. You got to continue to do it and find that best way. I think I was always pretty good at making a rack in boot camp. And I was one of those recruits that slept on top of my rack, right? You'd have to get in because that's the rules. Everyone would get in. I try not to mess the corners up. As soon as the drill instructor was off deck for the night, I'd crawl back out and tighten it back up and lay on top. So in the morning, I can just tighten it up. But I think you just got to continue to do it. 45s, make them 45-degree angles on the corners. The 12 inches of 18 inches of white, right? Get a ruler, 12-inch ruler, 6 inches for the fold, 12 inches for the bed sheet, total of 18 inches of white, 4 hospital corners. I think you just got to do it over, and don't try to just untuck one corner. What? Ooh, YouTube it. Maybe we should do that. Maybe that's a short idea right there. That's content. I don't know how to make the bed. Luckily, when you've done with all that, you just get a comforter and just cover all those wrinkles. But yes, I do know how to make the 45 hospital corners and the 18 inches of white. And then some people do some weird stuff with the pillow. They fold it in half and smooth it out and tuck it in. Just leave it, right? Let it, especially in boot camp or in the Armory or an organization, everyone has the same pillowcase. As long as everyone does it the same. But take that time to smooth it out. If you're one of those sleepers that wrinkle the whole pillow up and it's wrinkled, take the pillow out, put an iron to that baby, right? Put an iron to your 18 inches of white very carefully, right? Low heat, but make it look good. Take ownership of it. Be able to walk away from that rack thinking, yes, somebody could bounce a challenge coin off it. It is that tight of a rack. Right before you leave, one more last time. And if it's bad, don't try and fix, just like wrinkled sleeves. If you put it on and you find a couple of wrinkles and you're working it, it doesn't work out, right? And you put your arm down and back up and that same wrinkle's there, stop. Take it off, unroll it, and start over. Same thing with your rack. If it's just something's wrong about it, it just doesn't, it's not that rack, stop, strip it. Take everything off. Start, shake it off, do some push-ups, and then do it again. Don't try to fix a half-butt rack. Start over, right? There's a saying you always tell me, like cutting wood, measure twice, cut once. Don't measure once, cut twice. Do it right the first time, right? You'll save a whole lot of time doing it right the first time. All right. So, talked about what do you do about poor leadership? How much sleep do you leave? Leading and giving orders living on base. Okay, again, we've talked about it, the benefits of purchasing a home if you can, if you qualify, if you have the means. It seems like a huge task that you won't be able to do. We did it the first time. I was a sergeant on the drill field, had 2 kids, so already 3 dependents, E5 pay, seemed impossible. Kind of was, only because we didn't know about the VA home loan benefit, right? Would have saved us tons of money. We would have been able to do it a whole lot better. So it is possible. But more so, I want to talk about the benefits of living on base. Is it cool to live on base? Right? What are some of the benefits? Just thinking back on the bases that we have lived on. In Okinawa, we lived on a couple different bases, right? Kishaba, Camp Courtney. Where else? We live on 3 different bases in Okinawa.
Four different places.
So 2 times on base, 2 times off base. We wanted to live in the community to experience the community in a foreign country, Okinawa, Japan, and it was great. Japanese neighbors, the vending machines, right? I'd get my Georgia coffee right outside my front door. Dealing with Japanese police. Just a,
Place down the street.
it's just a
Coco's Curry.
Coco Curry House was right down the street. The 7-Eleven type stores, what's it called? Sane, Free Family Mart, Pre-Mart. Yeah, so again, we chose to purposely. It cost a little more, a little harder. You had to convert U.S. dollars to yen to pay the rent. So it was more difficult, but it was great to experience that experience, right? And I think we would in any foreign country that we're in. Camp Pendleton, same thing. We lived on base a couple times. We lived off base a couple times. Again, just to experience different things. Now, the great things about living on base, you can, everything's there. It's convenient. Now, Camp Pendleton is huge. Camp Lejeune is huge. So you can still have a 45-minute drive, even if you live on base. But more likely, you'll live somewhat close to where you were, somewhat. But even if you don't, the security of living on base, if you deploy a lot, that's what it's very comfortable deploying, knowing my family was on base, a gated community, if you will. They had everything they needed. There's commissary, shopette, gas stations, housing facility, right? If they needed something replaced, if the dishwasher went down, they had somebody to call. You have a living 24 hours, basically, maintenance that would come, help with anything. No crime on base, MPs, secure, minimal crime. Yeah, some thug kids here and there getting into stuff, but basically safe. So a huge benefit of living on base. And then if you have a good base or a good MCCS, used to be MWR, Marine Welfare, Morale, Welfare, and Recreation, right? The in Hawaii was a great one. Now it's MCCS, Marine Corps Community Services. I think the Army still calls it MWR. Either way, the activities you can do on base or the equipment you can rent. Obviously in Hawaii, you can rent surfboards, 2-man boats, canoes, kayaks, pontoon boats, right? Speedboats. I think you can rent a speedboat, skiing. Anything and every single camping piece of gear you'd possibly need to go camp somewhere for a couple of weeks. The stoves, the tents, the marshmallows, because there's a shopette right inside the boat harbor. Anything and everything you can possibly want. Lounge chairs. I'm telling you, I can't think of a thing that they don't have. Wetsuits if you're in a cold environment at a much cheaper price than you would have to pay if you rented it from somewhere else or if you had to purchase it. So huge benefit. Even the lots, if you have your own boat, you can store it on base. Do they charge for that? If you have a motor home, you can park it on base. I don't know. Not to camp out on base, but to park it when you're not using it, right? The boats and the motor homes, trailers, all that stuff, vehicles. You got some toys that you use on the weekends. Place to store it. Again, MPs 24/7. What else? The huge benefit of living on base. The restaurants, and I don't know, again, depending on where you are, if they're open 24 hours or not, but they always have off base. Like, remember when Okinawa got Chili's on base? Navy Fed was always on base. So huge benefit. They do try to make us, so everyone says about 29 palms. Who would want to be stationed in 29 palms? Well, the base is amazing. And that's what they do, continuously work on the base to make it a great place to live where you don't have to leave. You only leave base if you want to, just to get off base for a while. And the base housing itself, again, we saw significant changes over our career in the military. And my wife, even further, when she was a child growing up on base. You imagine the quality of houses, how they've been completely enhanced. Some bases are different, some are on a different schedule. But I remember about 20 years ago, I think I was a frocked sergeant major at the time. I was sitting in for the base sergeant major, thought I was the man. I was a boot. I was still getting paid as a first sergeant. But there was no interim base sergeant major, so I sat in that seat for a couple months. And one of the meetings we had was about barracks and base housing, quality of life in both. And remember, our fight was that the infantry never came back to their same barracks, right? So there's no ownership. They always blamed everything on the infantry. Well, the infantry tears up the barracks and then they go deploy. And they would, because they knew they weren't coming back to that room. There was no ownership in that room, let alone just that barracks. So that was my first input, was create a barracks for the infantry battalions that they own. When they check in, unless their unit moves them room to room, that is their home for the next 3 years. How much they'll stay there depends on the deployment cycle, but that is home. He's going to want to take care of that space because he's going to come back to it.
Go back to open squad.
Or back to open squad base. Yeah, those are the good old days, open squad base. So come to find out, it was like on a 10-year cycle, and I don't know if this was just for Hawaii at the time, but for 10 years straight, they work on barracks. So all of a sudden you see new barracks pop up, renovations of barracks. Like, this is great, really taking care of the single Marines. Love it. But then you look across the street at base housing and it's falling apart. You're like, I guess they don't care about families. Well, when that 10 years is up for the barracks, then they go to the base housing for 10 years. And a few years into that, wow, look at base housing. It's great. They love the married Marines better than they do the single Marines. That's a long period. 10 years is a long time. Some Marines don't see both sides of it. So if that's still the sequence, 10 years, you got to imagine it just takes some time. Takes some time, and you got to be patient. But I do believe that they do their very best. They had that barracks plan a couple of years ago. I think I did a video on it. The new technology that they want to bring into each and every room, the common areas better. Do the Marines have the worst quality of life for all the services? Yes, we do. Again, by design, not by design, we do more with less. Our mission is outside the barracks. Barracks 1277. You remember that lit cookie? Open squad bay. Maybe the producer mentioned it. Go back to open squad base.
Yeah, no one's gonna fight you to get those.
Hated it at the time.
But there should be for all as many infantry units as there are.
Infantry units,
That's not a lot.
I don't think it's a bad idea. And I'm probably get a lot of hate on here, but here's what you gain with open squad base. Teamwork. You know each other a little too much. Yes, you can hear everyone's farts and you can even smell them. But the teamwork and the bonding and the camaraderie, right? Shared misery, right? And in our unit, we split it up. NCOs had their own section, and then everybody else. You were separated by your wall lockers. You put a poncho liner up to cover your little door. Got creative, had a little privacy. But yes, you had to listen to whoever's music was the loudest. And the NCOs would keep some kind of order in there. Yes, the showers in the head facility kind of sucked. It was a rain room, right? Just like in boot camp, 24 shower spigots in an open area that want to believe the heads had doors on them. They definitely had stalls. Um, but you knew everything about everybody because you did literally ate, slept, and pooped in the same area. So it built that teamwork, that camaraderie, that knowing each other. You knew when someone was having a bad day. You knew when someone's girlfriend broke up with them. Someone's family member died, and we were able to be there for each other constantly, 24/7. And looking back at that NCO section in the back of the squad bay, covered up all kinds of poncho liners and caminating and the lockers, and you'd hear them laughing and having a good time back there. It just made you want to strive that much harder, to work that much harder to get promoted to NCO so you can be in the NCO section of the barracks. Some motivation, something to look forward to. Didn't realize it when I was going through that. Again, just wanted to be an NCO, got married, so I moved out of it altogether, right? Unfortunately, some Marines get married for that sole reason right there. Wasn't me. I've known some people though. Maybe just to get out of the barracks. Producers looking at me right now. Lay Cookie, where you at? So some do. Contract marriage, right? Their buddy of theirs, a friend, a guy friend or a girlfriend. Not someone they're going to marry and spend the rest of their life with, but they contract marriage. Yes, we're married. They get the BAH, they move off base, and it just ends in disaster. I don't know how many times it's worked out perfectly, if ever. Usually just asking for trouble. So don't do that. And it's against the law. So make the barracks life better, right? As a leader, as an NCO, if you don't live in the barracks, visit the barracks. Visit your Marine in the barracks. A lot of times they don't want you in there. But here's when I really felt the difference from open squad bay to individual rooms. Left Camp Pendleton, went to Hawaii. Marine Corps Base Hawaii. It was Marine Corps Air Station, Kaneohe Bay at the time. Engineers was one small company, Alpha Company, 3rd CEB in Hawaii. Our headquarters is in Okinawa, 3rd Marine Division. So when I get to this new unit, I'm a corporal, motivated. They assigned rooms, or they had rooms, right? This is my first time experiencing Marines in their own rooms. So, we have formation, and it's the first Friday, like it was getting ready for the weekend. Pass the word. All right, Monday morning, be here 05:30 PT. All right, get some. Have a great weekend. Be safe. The whole safety brief. Have a good weekend. It was like early on a Friday. It's Aloha Friday. Hawaii, we get out early on Fridays, like noon. So we secured everybody, and poof, they were gone. Never saw them again. And I'm a brown bagger, right? That's a nickname for Marines that live off campus, that are married, or off base, or on base housing. Don't live in the barracks. That's a brown bagger, because you bring your brown bag of lunch, because your home is not the barracks. So as a brown bagger, I'm standing there wondering what my squad was going to do for the weekend. Because I'm used to everyone going into the squad bay, we're all talking about it, come up with some dumb plans that we're going to do and get in some trouble this weekend, have a good time, and enjoy each other's company. These guys were ghosts. Couldn't hear a thing. Did they have electronics back then? They had cell phones back then. Just not like it is today. But either way, they were all doing their own thing. Maybe with their roommate, or maybe with the room next to them. But there was just no communication. No, try to plan something. You're all going to do the same thing. They probably all end up spending their days and nights in the barracks, and then come up with a dumb plan later, and usually go out and get in trouble. So it definitely crushed that, again, the teamwork, that camaraderie, that doing stuff together, knowing each other, right? Then you had to just to get word to one of them, you had to knock on a few doors, or they're already sleeping, they're in the shower. It wasn't the same vibe. And again, I was I was an NCO, so there was only a couple of us. NCOs kind of got together, and we tried to plan some stuff. But that day forward, I tried to keep them out of the barracks as much as possible, right? To give them that feeling. They'll never go back to open squad bays. I'm quite certain they won't. Now they're all about quality of life. But I think the overall quality of teamwork and unit cohesion was much better in an open squad bay. All right. Anybody saying anything about that? Got any fans of that?
It's like your old man.
Open squad bay. Definitely different. Those barracks are still there. Those H-style barracks at Camp Pendleton, if you ever get on that area. Mike Laycook, nothing like hanging out on the porch of the squad bay, talking smack to each other, feeding the raccoons. Remember that day, Robles, there's birds around. We had basketball courts right outside ours, and we all kind of sucked at basketball, but it was something to do, to be together, hanging out on the porch, talking trash to each other, and just getting to know each other. And we knew each other, some fights and police calls, the platoon sergeant would come and break it up, but we'd go right back to that porch, and all we are doing is getting to know each other that much better. I mean, one time, Robles was like eyeing a bird, and he picked up a rock, and we're like, no way, you can't do it. There's no way. He said, I'm going to throw this rock, hit the bird in the head, and then go rip the bird's head off. Can I say all that stuff on here? Sure enough, Lake Cookie, you remember that? I don't know if you remember that, but he did. Threw a rock, hit the bird in the head, knocked it over, knocked it out, went over there, took care of the bird, threw it, and said, see, I told you. That's what Marines do when they're bored. It definitely is a different vibe, different feel. Imagine getting banned because I'm not in the mood. Good recovery. Is that ready? Yes, Kimi Cocoa Puffs. All right, what other CCs are here? Delayed enlistee Yolanda asks from the John McJunkin crew, how long does she have to try out for drone instructor school? Great question. So, one, after you experience the drone instructors, I got to believe that every Marine feels this. I want to be a drone instructor.
You made a song about it, didn't
I want to be a drill instructor. Yes, they even made a song out of it. So I I do believe every Marine that goes through boot camp, graduates, wants to be a drill instructor. Maybe not, a lot of them. So here's what I did, Yolanda. As soon as I picked up corporal, I requested DI duty. Now, they don't take corporals anymore. They did, as we learned from half of our crew here, especially the old timers, a lot of them had corporal drill instructors. What you can do, and what I was trying to buck the system, I wanted to be a drill instructor that bad. I knew I wasn't even eligible because as a corporal, you can request DI duty. What DI school will give you if you graduate is 100 points towards your cutting score. So your rifle, pistol, PFT, education, all those compute to scores. When they add those up, if you're eligible for promotion, you get promoted. So DI school, like education, for instance, the max points you can get is 15. It's not a whole lot, and that's taking 5 classes or doing 5 MCIs. And I don't quote me on PFT, rifle, and pistol, and how those equate, but to get 100 points towards your cutting score is significant, and you will most likely get promoted to sergeant. So as a corporal, if your cutting scores, your composite score is high enough, you go to DI school, graduate, they give you 100 points towards your cutting score. You will be a sergeant by time of grade, time of service, the cutting score, prior to you becoming a drill instructor and training recruits. So how long do you have to wait till you're that senior corporal or you're a sergeant? And with the Marine Corps now saying you have to do 4 years prior to sergeant unless you get it meritoriously, it could take anywhere from 3 years to 5 or 6 years. But put in for it right away. That's what I put in as a corporal, got denied. Waited a couple months, put in for it again, got denied. I think soon as I was eligible and wasn't deployed and everything worked out perfectly, they finally said, let's get this guy to the drill field so he stops bugging us. But 100% loved it. A highlight, was it Heavy J asked me, a significant time in the Marine Corps? Being a drill instructor definitely was. That was a highlight of my career. Of course, deployments, bringing everybody home, tons of great moments in the Marine Corps, but being a drill instructor is definitely a highlight. All right, you heard the producer. Hit the like button, thumbs up, show support. It doesn't? USMC vet. So, Major, have you ever attended other service schools like Army Jump, Army Pathfinder, Air Force, Halo, etc.? Nope. Always wanted to do jump school just because everyone else did. I told before I had orders to scuba school at one point. They got pulled at the last minute. But yeah, I would have liked to have done all those. I did go to the Air Force NCO Academy. That was very interesting. Kind of fun. It's fun making fun of the airmen, how they don't PT and stuff. But I learned a lot. It was academically intense. But I did learn a lot about the Air Force at that time. And what I'll tell you, what I learned from them, the flight line crew bust their butt. They work extremely hard, 10, 12, 14-hour days every day. And you want them to. That's the aircraft that you're riding in. So it was definitely interesting. Different dynamics. No, not a lot of classes on combat, right? Which was really odd to me. We were talking about using a gas mask and how to use it, and how do you find out if the area is clear. And we all know Marine doctrine. When you've been gassed and you've been in mop gear for a while, and you have test kits to see if there's anything in the air, and you test it, it looks clear, sounds clear, you don't smell anything, but you're all suited up. The sure way you test it is you take that junior Marine. All right, first thing you got to do, take his weapon away. Because next, you're taking his gas mask off. And that's one sure way. Take his weapon, take his gas mask off, and just watch him. He's breathing, everything's good. Sucks to be the junior man in that unit, right? And more motivation to get promoted. So you're not the junior man in that company. But the Air Force couldn't believe it. They didn't believe me. They absolutely thought I was out of my mind, making stuff up, just trying to make Marines seem hard. But that's absolutely doctrine, Marine Corps doctrine. They couldn't believe it. Their mission is different, right? And that's all there is to it. It was fun though. I really did. I enjoyed hanging out with 140 airmen, technical sergeants. Had a couple cool guys in that were TIs, right? That's like their DI in boot camp. Just learning from each other. It was good. Enjoyed being with them. Uh, all back to leadership, right? 100%. Everything rests on. At the end of the day, it's leadership. Did that course help me in any way, shape, or form? Any school that you go to. I learned from the instructors, of course, but I learned a lot more from all the other students that were all in different MOSs, just like our staff NCO Academy. And I remember some of the IRFs that the IRF stands for. After every class, you give them a survey. What does it stand for? Just tells you the student gets to fill out how was the class, how was the instructor, did you learn anything, what can be changed in the class. IRF, evaluation, something form. ERF, review form. Anyhow, they fill it out, and I remember reading that one time. Great class, loved hearing all about the 50 cal. But what I really learned is more from all the other staff and NCOs from 20 different MOSs. And as an instructor, because I taught in the sergeant's course, career course, and the advanced course, I think I learned more than all of them because I got to see their MOS in their eyes from a sergeant to a gunner sergeant. So it was good. It was all those any school you can possibly go to. And if you can get to other service schools, 100% recommended. Tech sergeants are like staff sergeant. That's correct. In the USMC, because I thought they also had staff sergeants. So the tech sergeant is E6, technical sergeant, E6, Marine Corps course is staff sergeant, and they all kind of go by sergeant. And that was my first day, the introduction. I'm the only Marine, 138 airmen. It was like one or two Navy. I don't know if they finished though. But the very first day, we're in our classroom, and everyone. I mean, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful facility. Everyone had their own desk, ergonomic desk chair. Everyone had their own laptop, and it was even the kind with the glass that the keyboard was under here, so you could use the desk. I'm telling you, this place was set state of the art 20 years ago. So who knows what it's like now? Maybe 30 years ago. Screens up on, and even the lectern and microphone. It was just a beautiful facility. Kind of hard not to fall asleep in sometimes. I'll be honest with you. Some of the classes, but it was more about this is a learning environment. There was no PT. I think at the end of the day, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you could walk, ride the treadmill, or run. Right, you had that opportunity. So they added a bunch of stuff to it. But our very first day was interesting. I knew it was going to be a long 3 months. It was a 3-month school when they put the blank sheet of paper folded in half. And on the outside for everyone to read was you're supposed to put your rank, your name, and what you want to be called for the next 3 months. So you got Technical Sergeant Jones, T Money. That's what you want to be called throughout. J Money, I guess, and Jones. And I was looking around, everyone, one of them had it on there. It's their first name. I was that Marine. I was that guy that put Staff Sergeant Cece, Staff Sergeant Cece, Staff Sergeant Cece. And again, one of the first talks was, hey, so we got a Marine Sergeant in here. Sergeant, why don't you stand up and tell us a little bit about yourself? Because they all go by Sergeant. Army does it too. Nothing wrong with it. That's just a different culture. I think the Army does it from sergeant all the way up to, believe they call the first sergeants and the sergeant major first sergeant and sergeant major, master sergeant maybe too, but everyone's a sergeant. Same in the Air Force, from sergeant all the way up to command, master, chief. I think they call them whatever. But all the interim guys, E6 to E8, they call sergeant. And Marines don't do that. So once he said, go ahead, sergeant, stand up and tell us a little bit about yourself. And so with all due respect, no disrespect intended at all. You see my name tag, Marines are a little bit different. I am a staff sergeant at E6, and I prefer to be called staff sergeant. Again, nothing personal, not being disrespectful. I'll call you what you would like, what you all put on J Money, Big Mo. I have no problem with calling you all that. I'm going to try and break myself of calling you technical sergeant because that's your rank and name, but I will. But I do prefer, and I wish you would all call me by staff sergeant. My flight had no problem with it at all. It just took a little while to get out. Oh, there's that Marine. He's got to be called staff sergeant. I was that guy for a little while. About 3 or 4 days in, the commandant of the academy spoke to the whole class in the theater. And nice guy, right? Bill, I think was his name. And he was a chief master sergeant in the Air Force. That's what they're called, right? E9s. Chief master sergeant. And he welcomed everybody. And how do you like the academy so far? If you have any problems. And these guys were whining about, can we get more candy in the common areas? We had 5,000 videos. Can we get a couple more videos? And unbelievable stuff that they were asking for. And he's like, oh, and by the way, we have a Marine in here. Where you at, Sarge? You want to stand up, Sarge? My whole flight, before I even said anything, they're like, he's a staff sergeant. He likes to be called staff sergeant. So word got out. Again, just a different mindset. That was my whole saluting without a cover story. Different missions. That's all there's to it. It was great. I'm glad I had the opportunity to go. So if you get that opportunity, go to another services school, any school, go for it. All right. A lot of great topics. What I haven't done in a while is talked about the merch. I keep forgetting. Still got all the stickers here. Hopefully those OG8 in the memberships, did you get your sticker? Did it come in the mail? And yes, is this shirt available yet? Anybody ask that? Still got the merch warming up. Hoodies are still going. Let's go. Let's get these hoodies out. Is this one available yet? I'm asking the producer.
Still no.
Oh, still no. All right. Young Marine Berg says, why do our instructors make us clean the veterans' home when they already have staff who do that and no other cadet units do these things? First of all, thank your instructors for allowing you the opportunity to clean the vets' houses. It could be spotless. You do anything for veterans.
It's a veterans home.
Oh, veterans' home. Yeah, like a vet center where the vets live. Golden opportunity. Awesome. One, giving back to the community, giving back to the veterans. What they have given us allow us to be a free country. Right now, that's what they've done. So anything you can do for them, it is a pure honor for you to be able to do that. Even if it's clean, move the trash can, sweep it, put it right back, engage with those veterans. If you can ever talk to them, you make their day. It's a mindset of selfless service. So bravo Zulu to your instructors for providing you with that opportunity to do it. That I would every single day. I belong to a couple organizations, Marine Corps League, the AMVETS. We would do stuff like that. Any opportunity, primarily on Veterans Day, Memorial Day, any holidays, just if nothing else, to spend some time with them and tell them thank you for your service. Semper Fi Marine, HUA, Army guy. It means the world to them. So
none of the other services do it because
it's a mindset. 100% anything and everything you can do. So embrace it. Embrace it. Do what you can to talk to us. Ask those guys questions. Hey, do you like us coming here? Well, I tell you, they gotta light up to be around youngsters. Yeah, especially if they're in a veterans home, that's it for them. So if you can, any way, shape, or form, somehow better their life, their experience, the last few days on this earth, again, take advantage of it. Set up more trips to the vet center. That's awesome. Cadet Burke says yes, but it takes time away from our drill time, training, and class time. Here's what I say about time. One is something you can never get back, but time management is key. Right? When the cadets would tell me, "Oh, I didn't have time to get a haircut. I didn't have time to study. I didn't have time to work on drill." Again, you're not going to like this answer, but my question is going to be, did you sleep last night? If you slept, you had time. So I can see that it is time management, but you have to manage your time better. Where's your priorities? Drill time, training, class time. And if it's during class, during school, here's a way to look at it. Is the end state, is missing one drill practice going to determine your entire drill competition? If it does, you got to spend more time at drill. If it's taking you away from the classroom, if one day is going to drop your A to a B, you got to study hard. Priority is not put in the right places somewhere. You got to manage your time better. That's why if you do a lot of sitting around, you are wasting your own time. If you show up to formation 15 minutes early and you just sit there and say, when are they going to get here? When are they going to get here? And you're not doing push-ups or pull-ups or drilling, you just wasted 15 minutes. So look at the bigger picture. I don't think the instructors would put training at risk for you to clean someone else's vet center. I gotta believe it's a much bigger picture, and it's that mindset of service to others. Embrace it. Right there, USMC vet called it out. Say no to video games, Netflix, keg parties, and you'll have plenty of time. Where's your priorities? Right? What is more important to you? You didn't have time? My own kids. Well, I didn't have time to finish my homework. Did you sleep last night? Then you had time, right? Sometimes you got to burn that midnight oil. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. And who wants to stay up all night doing homework? But manage your time.
Can I repeat the question from Issa J88J?
Yes, please repeat it.
He said, Ron, have you ever heard of divers in the Marine Corps? I found out like 4 years ago. Think about going back in, but I'm a commercial diver now and I love it.
Divers. Are there divers in the Marine Corps? So there's scuba qualified Marines. Yes. Scuba certified Marines with recon, MARSOC. Now, we definitely have divers. Do they do, I don't know how often they conduct their mission. I don't even know what their mission is, but I know if they're in on any kind of security detail, like if ships are coming into a port, I know the port gets swept inside the water, outside the water, all over the entire base. So I know they get utilized. PJs, Air Force, those guys are scuba qualified. I think all the services have them. I want to believe. I just don't know how often they do their mission, but all the recon was jumping scuba qualified, and I got to believe all those guys are in MARSOC now for if the mission ever comes up for divers. Yes, so 0300 infantry, and then get scuba qualified for the Marine Corps. Something definitely talk to the recruiter about. But yes, to answer your question, we have scuba divers. Gunny G says, we do it to teach these youngsters respect, honor, humility, service to others before oneself. Amen. Gunny, I'm telling you, no, I hope that he wasn't trying to get out of wanting me to be on their side to get him out of doing duty like that, because obviously you see I'm 100% with it. If I could do more for them, I still want to. When I retire, I'm going to work at a USO somewhere just to volunteer my time to those young service members and their families that utilize the USO. So 100% keep getting after it. And God bless all of you for doing that. Those vets, I know for a fact, appreciate it very, very much. Lead Cookie burns the midnight oil daily. Still need to figure out how to manufacture more time. One thing, you can't stop time, and you can't get it back. So if you waste it, she gone. So maximize the time you do have, and that's where I'm done fighting my sleep pattern. I've had doctors. Well, I guess if you can manage, you can get through the day, and you're not sleepwalking, then by all means, that is your sleep pattern. 4 or 5 hours a night is just you. So figure it out, work it out. There's Menachem. Menachem. Where you been? Good evening. Let's give us an update. Good evening to you, brother. And I told the crowd earlier you were doing some chaplain training, and then you stopped by MEPS. And what I did learn from MEPS, when you had told me that, I was like, man, do officers go to MEPS? I didn't know it's a military entry point service. I can't remember what it stands for, but MEPS is where everyone goes prior to joining the service. So where you at? What kind of training you been in? How's it been going? And when do you ship out? Look at Annie Ben Annie's on here. Let's hear the update from a soldier. Love the Marines. Hua. We love the Army too. Bryce Wilborg. Not my generation. Empathetic vet. They locked us in a room with two steel balls. The mission was to lose one and break the other. And I guarantee the only people that could do that are Marines. Two steel balls, you're breaking one somehow, some way. All right, Menachem. Spent the week at chaplain training event in Florida. Went to MEPS, basically a doctor visit. Yeah, I'm going by a board in April. All right, so you go to a board where they determine, is that to determine if you got what it takes to be a chaplain, be a part of the chaplain corps. What? And again, MEPS, we talked about it earlier. Again, never even thought about it. Where do officers go for all those checking, all that paperwork? MEPS. Everyone's got to go through MEPS to be accepted as a chaplain candidate. All right. Well, good luck, Menachem. We're all praying for you. We're all in your corner. Hope they make the right decision and get you started. Marshall Taylor, I think we'll wrap it up with that. That's a good question right there. What are your thoughts on civilian contractors fighting in foreign wars? Wait, first, Menachem. It wasn't your standard MEPS. It was a normal doctor's visit, no doc walk, etc. Good. I imagine that. Or a little different MEPS visit for an officer than it is for an enlisted. Could be pretty chaotic. I don't think anymore. MEPS is a lot more chill now than when some of us went through MEPS. That was like a pre-boot camp when I went through. So thoughts on civilian contractors fighting in foreign wars. So civilian contractors, I think, are very, very important. And here's why. It frees a Marine up to fight, right? If we have to drive bus, if we have to supply Marines to drive the bus from the airfield to the barracks, if we have to work in the chow hall, if we have to do those jobs that take a trigger puller off the battlefield, no good. Love the contractors, all in the laundry, all the cooks, anything and everything that you don't need a Marine for, by all means, civilian contractor. They get paid pretty good money. They're in harm's way. I get it. So good on them for doing it. Now, the contractors fighting the enemy is a little different story. I don't know if you're talking about like Blackwater and all those high speed, low drag, bearded guys that go do those special missions. I have mixed feeling about those. Just watching Lioness, if anybody has seen that, and that's about the special ops, the CIA, the clandestine units that go in there, VIP targets, and the crazy stuff they do. 100% positive it does happen, and there are those special forces guys. Again, the guys with the beard and all the high-speed gear, necessary because they don't have the same rules of engagement as a straight leg infantry unit does. And they could do it, complete their mission without making a big mess like an infantry unit would. Mission would be complete, but there'd be a lot of collateral damage. So the best part about it is they very rarely, in my experience, 6 deployments, they don't work hand in hand. They're not going to embed those bearded guys into an infantry unit. They're doing their own thing with their own security, with their own transportation, with their own exfil, all that stuff, their own gear and equipment. So yes, I think they're necessary. I was never one of them, so that's about my limited knowledge of what they do. And we've seen they've come into our AO and said, "Hey, we're going to be in this area. Please don't shoot us. We're going to get an HVT, a high value target," and we leave them alone, let them do their thing. You hear stories, they come in their attitude and they shoot some stuff and they cause some chaos that they shouldn't. I'm sure that happens on both sides, right? They're trying to do something real clandestine and we come bumbling through there and alerting people. So I'm sure that happens, but I do think they're necessary. I think it's dangerous. I think they get paid a lot of money because they do some crazy stuff. But 100% positive, it does happen. High speed. Different than, again, your straight leg infantry that follows rules of engagement for one, and TTPs, tactics, techniques and procedures. Different story. Great question though. I think I'm all for them. Menachem, no worries, bro. You gotta take care of business, right? Your business right now is with God, and we'll support you 100%. Oh yes, you're definitely doing some burpees. You can pay us later, but handle your business. USMC vet. Good night, everyone. Got to go to work and throw my phone in the Faraday cage. Semper Fi. Must be nice being without your phone for a little while. I would definitely encourage that. Phone stack. That's what we do when the family goes out to dinner somewhere. Phone stack. No one's on their phones when we're engaging, having family time. Do that phone stack. No ped hours. This is from the producer. personal electronic devices. So not just phones, any electronic device. There are no ped hours. Communicate. All right, put the phones up. ERA, simplify, Marshall. Another one from McJunkin's crew. Gunny says, how to hold the next generation accountable to those who came before them, like their parents and other adults. Amen. I'm telling you, you guys are absolutely 100% doing the right thing. Anytime you can do something for our veterans, and sometimes it's just a little handshake. Thank you for your service. Welcome home to the Vietnam vets, and just anything you can do for them. That is why we are free today, 100%. Once again, thank you all for coming. I know it was short notice. We moved it on you. We wanted to spend, I'm telling you, we're on spring break. Yes, I'm busy, Lakewood, but we did want to spend some time with you on this Wednesday. Still early in the day for some of you. Again, merch, SFMF-merch.myshopify.com. Don't forget about the memberships, $1.99, just one tier so far. We're going to increase the tiers later with more stuff. The producers got all kinds of things backed up in all that hardware over there. We start dropping more stuff for the membership. Again, just go on the page description, details of this page. You'll see a membership post, a post. That's where all the new community updates fall in there. That was an update. It says post and not community. So take some time, get familiar with the channel, like and subscribe, pass it on to your friends, neighbors, motivated, Semper Fi Americans, and we'll definitely be back Sunday. We're with you Sunday. Have a great rest of your week. Be safe, but be aggressive. Semper Fi, my friends. Era.